Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. My name is Invin and today you'll see me here. I've not got face cam on and that is because I'm bringing you guys a war video and I want you to be able to see the whole screen at all times so you can see everything that is going on here. Essentially what you guys are seeing now is the pre-war camp bit. You can see at the top of the screen we're just under a minute here and essentially this is our time before the war starts. This is from this evening's war in Windsward and I'm going to basically talk over this gameplay, bring you guys some snippets at the live comms without obviously giving you too much clutter because obviously there's a lot of talking going on and stuff there, but also bring you guys a breakdown of the game winning strategy that we've proved, tried and tested for 6 wins consecutively now. So this is a really good strategy. For those of you that are watching from my server, hello, please do not use this too much against us as we'd much appreciate that. But of course this video will aim to bring you guys a good understanding of how the strategy works, and on top of that how you can use it to your advantage on your own servers to get some more wars won, or even send this to your war leads, or if you are a war lead yourself, kind of work this in. And of course there's different aspects that go into it, such as the communications, the strategy, but I'm going to do my best to talk you guys through this and make you understand how we using it to win to the best of our ability, whilst also maintaining a good group morality throughout the game, having a positive atmosphere for the group, and of course being successful. So right out the gates of the war camp here, you guys will see that we are all grouped up together. We all have specific groups which we pre-planned before the war, what each of these groups are going to be doing, so they all know their individual role. But off the start here you can see that we're all grouped up together and we have a call there made by myself for when the haste pots should be popped, as this is how we get over to where we want to be right here. Now I'm not going to go into too much depth about what exactly we are doing in this particular point because it's fairly self-explanatory. We're running across the field up towards the fort. The reason we're doing this is to attack the enemy siege, so we're going to get ourselves right up there in between. Now this team have played against us before. Last time we played them they actually won, but we used a slightly different strategy. Since then we've done a few, and a lot of my guys between myself and DSG, who is our main allies we play the wars alongside here, there's players from both teams, do actually stream it, so they've seen a few snippets, so they had a little bit of an idea that that might be what we were going to do. So of course then they rotated preemptively here to try and attack us. What they didn't know there was that we had another sneaky strategy involved, which kind of helps us out a little bit here. So as you can see there, we're taking out the siege which is on the wall, and we're going to continue to do this before we push on to a point. The reason we do this is to prevent the enemies from being able to bombard us with continuous amount of siege. Now this can be countered very easily if people do put up a good resistance in the way that these guys were doing, but if they were a little bit more coordinated they would have been easily able to stop this, essentially put CC down on that push, and you're going to be at a very strong position to defend that. But on top of that as well, you guys on the cannons, obviously use them. Make sure you're making use of your actual siege so that it shoots down at the players attacking it. And of course, when the players get out of the range of the siege, just hop off it and have your range guys up there to shoot down, which they did have a lot of that going on. It's just that we had a lot more kind of, I would say, better positioning in this aspect. We were able to get underneath the walls where the cannons can't shoot you, which is really good. So that just really helps to keep your team composure together if you're keeping together as a group. And then we have a respawn plan as well, which again I'm not going to detail right now because we'll get onto that in just a moment, but it really does help if you've got a backup plan as well. For those people that do go down, they've got an objective straight away, which is really helpful. So our plan going on from this was to group up, like I mentioned there. That was kind of the plan that we had in place, was to make sure we grouped up. And this, what you're seeing now, is a skip forward to where we actually push our first point. Now, as you can see, myself, I'm in the flank group, so we're actually into the enemy back line, doing a lot of damage. Whaley gets a very nice double kill there with an arrow, collaterals through them. And what we're basically doing here is doing as much damage as we can. 1 to 3 right around the back. He should be on me. Do not go on that point. 1 to 3. So as you guys can hear from that in-game comm there, I'm making sure that the groups 1 through 3 are staying at the back in the enemy backline. That's just our flank groups that we've named there. And we basically essentially stopping the casters from free casting, so that's damage and this also heals. But we're also making sure we're keeping on top of any respawns that do happen. As a lot of you guys will know, the enemies respawn on the point, but they don't respawn within the radius. They respawn around the edge. So when those players pick that back up, they're coming straight into it with all cooldowns refreshed. So we're making sure we're picking up those players, CCing them, burning them down quickly so that they can't free cast off their spawn, which is what a lot of players do in wars and what a lot of teams rely on to be able to capture those points. So specifically if we see warhammers, we'd like to get those out, mages, healers, and we're basically just going into their backline to make sure that they can't stand there and consistently get hits on us for free. We then rotated round to point C. Yep, group 1 to 3 in the backline, get ready for their push. They're pushing fort side now. Group 1 to 3, push that out. Push into their fort side.
Group 8 that was on B, please make your way over to A and start helping Group 10 right now.
So as you guys will see there, the comms there were for my flank team to push up to the fort side, so we'd essentially be already in their flank as they rotated round. And you can see that Dilly, who is the other guy that comms for DSG, is the other leader. We work really, really well together. He commed for the team that was on B flag, then rotate round to A to start to put some pressure on there. The aim of this is to drag players apart so that we don't get the whole Zerg versus us here, and we can win this point very easily, as you guys will see on screen. So we're down to the final point here before we go into the fort, and this one is where it's a big group versus group. You can't split the enemies up anymore, you have to fight their army head on. Now bear in mind we had destroyed the siege on this flag prior to doing this, so we knew we weren't going to have any siege interference from the enemy team here. But what we did have to do is try and split them up into little subgroups or sub-clusters of players that we could take out very easily. So of course my flank team were in the back line, as you can see me here, absolutely slicing through players, just causing absolutely havoc and chaos and really annoying their backline. As you can see, these people having to dodge around, they're having to move constantly, which is meaning that their downtime on spells and heals is much, much higher. On top of that, we are actually managing to get a lot of kills, which is taking the pressure of the damage off the point, and it's also taking a lot of the heals away from the main point, which is meaning that that group is also winning their battle. Now on top of this, as you can see, I do keep dipping in and out of the actual capture zone. That is to help the capture progress, of course, but also just to CC some of the players on there with my gravity well and with my reap, so that I'm pulling players away and kind of doing all these different things that basically just keep annoying and keep the enemies occupied rather than focusing on what they're doing here. Now as you'll see, they do have a big team of players that start to realize this and start to push us back, but because we're staying nice and grouped up in this back line, we're actually able to escape that. I'm able to pot up, I'm able to heal, run around, and I've also got some healers that are focusing on just healing me in the back line. As you'll see, my health keeps pinging back up, and so what we're able to do is sustain ourselves long enough to cause a nice bit of damage, and then we finally get the calls in game here, which were
collapse onto that point right now, boys.
Hop in groups 1 to 3. Good stuff. Let's kill these guys on the rotation. Don't run past them, everybody. So we got the comms to collapse onto the point and finally get that capture on the final remaining outfield point. And as you guys will see after that, I commed for everybody to kill the guys on the rotation. The reason for this is we know we're not going to then get flanked from behind us when we're pushing up to these gates, albeit they can jump down, but we know that the big bulk of them will be then inside the walls, which makes it easier for us to predict what the enemies are going to do, and that is essentially what this war is all about. We then proceed to go up towards these gates and obviously attack here. What we are doing is making sure that we're spreading again out the enemy forces, so we've got players attacking different gates, and again this was predetermined before the war with different groups so that we would have a split siege on this, so the enemies were kind of fragmented even though they're inside that very close quarters environment. Yes, of course they can rotate quickly, but having them split up and using cooldowns on different areas is exactly what we wanted.
Start fighting in our position where we said keep this going. Let's get kegs down right now.
A lot of guys up on the walls, if we could get them down there.
In and up, in and up, in and up.
Doing really good job, guys. Those that are on this right gate with me keep getting these kills.
They're trying to block us here on those stairs.
Everyone else get through, and if we can get through one of the side gates here, boys, that would be great. Make your way up onto the fort side as well. If you need to respawn,
lay these kegs, boys, on the doors.
keep this up. Really good stuff.
Keep getting up, guys. Keep getting up. Don't get stuck on this stairs.
So we were making the overall comms, we were also receiving comms from the guys that are already inside, saying they're trying to block them getting up the stairs, and our aim was to get upstairs onto the battlements to attack their ranged guys. Once we actually breached the inner walls from several doors, my calls were as follows. Remember guys, there's cannons inside, so shoot at those when you go in. Let's get these cannons down. The comms to get the cannons down were essential to make sure that our team was performing to their best of their ability without getting distracted, and it keeps them on task here whilst they're breaking through. There's a lot going on. We've also got comms from Dilly to go up to the battlements and continue attacking the ranged and the healers up there, and that means that everybody is then going to respawn down below. Now as you guys can see, some of our main tanks knew their job here, and that was to put pressure on the point to draw the forces again and split them, whether they fight on the battlements, whether they fight on the point. And what we did here is actually switch to healing. We kept those alive as long as possible, and then what we do is a tactical pullback, which is what you guys will see in game just now. Yep, back it up from the point, back it up from the point. If you're on the point now, come up to the top of the battlements. Do not stay there by yourself, you're going to go down.
Top of the battlements, guys. Get out of that fight and get to the top of the battlements.
This is where we had a huge regroup up the top of the battlements to draw the enemies back, make sure that we had a little bit more of an assessment on the respawn timers, and cause a little bit of havoc for those last lingering players up the top there, before we made our last coordinated push towards the middle of the objective. And as you guys will be able to see in just a second here, this actually went pretty well.
Get onto the point. Groups 1 to 3 at the back. Starts killing their healers.
Group 1
right
to
now.
3 off the point,
Collapse onto
straight
the
into
point.
the enemy healers. Straight into the healers, casters, all of that. 1 to 3, do not get on the point.
Amazing, boys. Amazing. There's so many of them are on timers right now, boys. So many. Get these kills right now.
1 to 3 in that
Get
back
these
line.
kills.
Let's go.
1 to 3, doing a great job in this back line. Get them killed. Get them killed right now. Amazing work here, boys.
When pushing for that attack, it was essential that our flank team managed to hit that back line like I mentioned in the in-game comms there. Of course, the casters and the healers that are going to be doing the biggest amount of damage, and of course, the heals keeping everybody alive. We managed to hit those. I've turned around, done a little bit of healing, and on top of that, I've managed to CC a lot of players. That gave them huge respawn timers, which is essential when you are capturing the fort point in the middle. You need to be killing the players off so that you get respawn timers up.
Find me. Groups 1 to 3, cat laps onto the edge of the point. We've got enough numbers
We
and enough
got it,
kills here.
boys.
Yeah, on the
Gotta be
point.
the cat-
Everyone
Got
on.
it,
Everyone on.
boys. Get on the
Amazing
point,
work,
boys.
Pile on, boys.
Collapse onto the-
Fair warning for those of you that guessed it, we did win this, but this is a headphone warning. This bit is a very loud GG, so be prepared. Yes!
Nice.
GG.
E to the
Let's
G.
go. Now, of course, we were very happy with that victory, but it did all come down to hard work, preparation, listening to comms. Our group does exceptionally well at listening to what we're saying to them during the war, and of course, the composition of your team, the strategy that you use, and all that good stuff as well. But hopefully, this video has given you guys an insight into just how a war-winning strategy actually comes together. I've tried to give you a listening to some live comms, which you will be able to see by the annotation on the screen, and of course, you'll be able to tell by the audios it's going to be a little bit more clunky than this microphone recording now, because obviously it's just me speaking. But essentially what we like to do is work the best we can as a whole group, as a team, and break down into individual sections to get the biggest amount of damage we can spread out over the time, and you guys will be able to see that if you pay attention to the gameplay in the background as well. Now, a couple of tips before I leave is just to obviously keep the positive energy in your group going, keep the morale up so that everybody knows they're doing a good job. Make sure to tell people when they're not doing the job they should be. So group 1, for example, you need to be doing something different than you are, because that recorrects people and reminds other people to check they're doing the right job. And finally, it's to keep your group coordinated properly throughout the war and don't ever give up on the tactics. Do try to keep it going and make sure that everything feels organized and well structured, as that will really help people get a grasp with what's going on. Now, finally, for you guys wanting to know the stats, you can see on screen now, I went 9 to 3 with 115 assists and 275k total damage, which is pretty good. 49th on the team, so not ideal, but while shot calling, it's not terrible. I do need to work on my build a little bit, but I'm pretty happy with this overall. You can see that we've got some big damage dealers, big players here hitting for a lot of damage, but this was overall a very, very fun experience. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this video, found it valuable and useful. As I said at the start, if you are on my server, please refrain from using this against us, but of course, hopefully you all learned something from this video. If you have got any questions at all, please do feel free to drop them in the comments down below, as I'll be sure to help you guys out the best I can there. And of course, if anybody from the opposition team or anybody else that we have come up against on our server is watching this video, I just want to extend a massive GG and good vibes to you guys. Absolutely, even when we win, it's by absolutely no means trash talking. Of course, there's some banter in game, but generally it's been a very, very fun server to play on so far, so GG's to anybody that is watching from my actual server there. And of course, before we end today's video, it's only right to give a big shout out to my friend Dilly, who is the leader of DSG, who I'm warring in the video with here. It's the other guy giving the comms. He's an amazing leader, a really great guy, and he makes videos here on YouTube and also streams on Twitch, so if you want to check him out, the links to both of his channel and his stream will be in the description, so make sure you do go over there and show him some love as well, guys. Other than that, guys, as always, thank you very much for watching. Please do drop a like if you have enjoyed today's video, and if you are new here to the channel, make sure you drop a subscribe. I would love to have you here as part of my channel community, as I do upload every single day, and it'd be amazing to have you be here and be a part of that. Other than that, guys, as always, thank you very much for your time. Thank you for watching. Take care and peace.